Hey class! Today we're working on the key fraction rule, which I hinted at the earlier episodes. So the basic idea of the key fraction rule is that having 10 pies split amongst 5 children is the same as having, say, 20 pies split amongst, can you take a guess? Be 10 kids. So all I did to this fraction was, in essence, multiplied it by 2 on top and bottom. So I'm going to have twice as many kids, but also compensate with that by having twice as many pies. So the idea is that if you multiply a fraction by essentially the number 1, you're going to change the way it looks, but you're not going to change its value. And that's a really big deal in fractions, and it will help carry us through the next couple of videos. So to write this rule in its general form, it's that if you have a fraction a over b, and remember, b can't be 0, right? Nothing divided by 0. Anything divided by 0, it's not going to make sense. 0 divided by 0 isn't okay. 5 divided by 0 isn't okay. And the real reason why is because if you take a number and multiply it by 0, how are you ever going to get to 5? Is another way of looking at that division problem. And if that makes sense to you, that's okay. So like, let's say a over 0 is something, this question mark. Then this is the same statement as saying that a is the same as that thing times 0. And if that's like 5 over 0, that doesn't make sense. Nothing times 0 would make 5. And then if you thought, oh, okay, but if we had that answer a equals 0 times question mark, right? You might say, well, what if a is 0? Well, if a is also 0, so if we had the original fraction be 0 over 0, anything would work here. So it's not well defined. It doesn't make sense, right? This answer could be 5. This answer could just as well be 2, 17, negative 4. So having a over 0, even if a is 0, doesn't work. So that was just a little aside. Okay, so now that I've talked about a over b, some generic fraction where b is not 0, it's going to be the same as x times a over x times b, where x is any real number. So x is in, and then b is not 0. And b and a are also real numbers, which we've talked about before a little bit. Okay. So you can do a couple explorations of this, right? Like 5 over 3 is the same as 7, what am I saying? 10 over 6. And it's basically saying, yeah, if I have 5 kids with 3 pies, then if I just double my number of pies and I split amongst the same or double the number of kids, then each kid will get the same pies. So how many pies does each child get remains the same when I do this to a fraction.